I agree with you, and I've actually watched some of Club Shay Shay, and I know you're seated. Brace yourself. Steve, big news out of Los Angeles and Fox Sports headquarters. Shannon Sharpe is leaving Undisputed at the conclusion of the NBA Finals, breaking up with Skip Bayless. I don't know if it's all that surprising given all the tension they had in the previous year, going all the way back to DeMar Hamlin and all the other disputes that they've had. But Shannon is going his own way. Part of me thinks, is this the end of the embrace debate era? Has the milk gone bad on fake, contrived debate shows?
Well, Jason, here's the thing. I'd say for the past 5-6 months, they were very disputed. I mean, let's go all the way back, going to the DeMar Hamlin thing and other things in terms of respecting Shannon Sharpe's Hall of Fame ability compared to Tom Brady. I've said this before. They were like that couple at the dinner party that started arguing right in the middle of dinner. And then when they got home, they started sleeping in separate beds. And it's obvious Shannon had moved out to the Holiday Inn for the past couple of months, and now he's filed the divorce papers, and he's just swiping left, right, up, down on Tinder because he's got a lot of options. So I don't know. This format has been successful. The question that I have, Jason, to add to your query is this the end of Skip Bayless? Because I don't think this format's going to go anywhere. I mean, there's 24 hours in a day. You have to fill it with talking heads. The debate structure works when it's actually entertaining and it's authentic, and there's people that you like. The question that I have, if they're going to keep Skip Bayless in that role and this franchise moves forward, who do you get opposite Skip Bayless? Now, I have a name that I know you're not going to agree with, and I don't know if it's realistic, but no, I don't think it's the end of this format. I hope not, because that's what part of me and you do. Of course, we do it at a much higher cerebral level, but I'm just saying it's not the end of it. The question is this the end of a career that for so long, I don't know if dominated this genre, but was certainly an important part of it in Skip Bayless?
I think I'm going to distinguish between what you and I do and what they do. we don't, I'm serious, we don't even have discussions about, hey, what side of this argument is Steve on? What side is Whitlock on? Okay, let's discuss that. We have discussions, not debates. Sometimes we disagree. But to me, we're just two guys talking sports, and sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. That show has contrived debates. Shannon Sharpe's a Hall of Fame football player that took on the role, and then it was a role at first. Now he actually is LeBron James' stepdaddy,
No.
and he plays the opposite side of I love LeBron and Skip, you hate LeBron. It's all contrived, and so I'm just wondering if that aspect. Do I think sports discussions and all that are going to continue on television and every place else? Absolutely, but this whole little contrived thing. Look at what Stephen A. Smith is doing. He does it. He brings in a rotating cast of people to talk sports with, and sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree. They mostly just have fun. And First Takes ratings are actually growing where, Undisputeds have been stale or decreasing over the last year or two.
Jason, I completely agree with you there that if it's contrived where you are forced to take the black or white side and there's never any gray area, there's an issue. Because it's just forced, it's contrived, it's fake, it's phony, it's not fraudulent. Me and you, most of the times we agree, and when we disagree, it's obviously when you're wrong. But putting that aside, we're always good-natured about it, right? You're right. I mean, could you imagine if me and you did a daily show like that, a Korean in a black house, thinking about it, we could call it The Riot. I mean, it would be Baffa. It would play in Peoria. I don't know about Koreatown. All the rooftop Koreans, they may feel a certain way, but it'd be great. But honestly, I would never want to do a show where you're telling me you have to take this position because your co-host is taking that position. I think people see through that. It's not authentic, and it does not work. Now, this is interesting about Shannon Sharpe. I actually congratulate him for this move because if he's going to go fully independent, and again, I have no clue what he's going to do here, and he's just going to say, you know what? I'm going to do the Shannon Sharpe Network. I'm going to go full renegade and do what Pat McAfee was and use the platform that I've already built to be who I am and say whatever the hell I want. Anyone else be damned. You're not going to censor me. I want to applaud him. And I just happened to look at the numbers on YouTube for his podcast network or channel. Has over 1 million views. That is very substantial. He's got something there that he can ride. But again, now it's more work now. Now because becoming an owner has responsibility. Okay, you're not just an employee, and you know this, Jason. You made a similar type of transition. Now you got to be on top of everything. I don't know if he really wants to do that. On the flip side, Skip Bayless, who certainly
Hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second before we get. I want to respond to your take on Shannon Sharpe, and then we'll get to Skip Bayless. I agree with you, and I've actually watched some of Club Shay Shay, and I know you're seated. Brace yourself. Club Shay Shay ain't bad. That is the best of Shannon Sharpe. It's a totally different persona. He actually comes across like a decent talk show host. The guests enjoy him. He enjoys the guest. They have good conversation. He's not a horrible interviewer. The guy can actually host the show. And I think you're 1,000% right that he could end up being the black Pat McAfee. A FanDuel or one of these gambling companies may come in and drop a bag on him to be associated with his show. And the other thing, I just keeping it all the way for, and everybody that's watched this show knows I have problems with Shannon Sharpe and his race baiting and all that. But Shannon has a work ethic. He's not afraid to go it alone and put the work in. So I do think Shannon going solo actually has a lot of upside, and I do think he's going to be fine.
Pat Blackafee. It's catchy. Kind of like that. You know, but the overall point is, and I was a huge Shannon Sharpe fan when he was a player. He's in my Mount Rushmore of tight ends. He's actually underrated as a player, believe it or not. And I know people say he can't block. Look, he had a running back rush for 2,000 yards behind him in that offensive line. He had to be getting in the way of somebody. But the problem became in the last year or so, especially with that unfettered defense of LeBron James, he went from being a really funny character to an uncomfortable caricature. And it's that fine line that I think you have to be able to kind of toe. And you're right about Shannon as an interviewer. I saw most of the stuff that he did with Deion Sanders. Because of his stature, and maybe because he's also black, let's be honest, he has a way of engaging some of these subjects and bringing out certain answers and discussions that maybe other people can't, and it works. But now, again, can you be the captain of the ship instead of a very high-paid employee? That's one of the tougher adjustments you have to make. So this is going to be interesting, but again, I salute Shannon Sharpe for this, because I went through this a couple years ago. If you have to go into a workplace every day or do a job that you don't like and you're unhappy, that in itself is like a prison sentence.
It is. And so I'm telling you, people that have listened to me criticize Shannon Sharpe, be like, how come he's never said these things before? Well, because, mostly I was never in position or the topic didn't come up. But
right.
I get why Shannon thinks he was a bigger deal on Undisputed than Skip, and Skip had control of the show, and that's why Shannon was frustrated. But that's what Shannon signed up for.
Yes.
And so I don't think it was fair to complain, well, it's Skip's show, and Skip controls it, and blah, blah, blah. That's what you signed up for, bro. And I thought Shannon's attacks on Skip Bayless were unfair. I thought some of the stuff at the end is related to Damar Hamlin, skipping work and all that, very unprofessional, getting offended because Skip says something about Tom Brady and being a better player. All that stuff you're supposed to laugh off. You're a Hall of Fame football player. Skip couldn't even make his varsity high school basketball team. Just laugh that stuff off and keep it moving. But he has to understand that Fox Sports made an investment in Skip Bayless. He was their guy. You signed up to be the number 2 quarterback. Be the number 2 quarterback, or do what you're doing now, exit and leave. Again, I'll say it again. I think whatever he comes up with on his own on YouTube, or if he goes to another network, I don't know if ESPN would have an interest or whatever. I do think he'll be fine. I hope he does less race baiting. I hope he's more like the guy that I see on his club, Shay Shay. That guy is fun, likable, entertaining, and gets good stuff out of guests. No problem with Shannon Sharpe in that regard. Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with all of our latest content.